It's time to read another series, and this time it is the Windy City series by Tomforde. The first book is Mile High, and it's the story about Stevie and Xanders. Stevie is our female main character. She's a flight attendant, and her new job is to work for the Raptors, one of the Chicago hockey teams. And Xanders is part of this hockey team, and he's a total player. He has a different girl after every game. He has a lot of one-night stands, or that is what PR is making him. So that is what the public knows about him, but he is so much more than that, and we will learn about that in Mile High. And I can say I already started the book. You know me, I always start filming late, so I can say I'm around 40% into the book, 240 pages. I've read 23 chapters so far, and I'm liking it at this point. That was not the case at the start of the book. I really had my problems finding into the story, finding into the characters and liking them, because the first chapters from both POVs, Xanders is a total asshole. I didn't like him at all, but I liked Stevie, except the moments where her problems with her weight are the main topic. Not because I have a problem with women being a little bit more and not have a model figure, because I don't have that and I don't want that. But because it is so much back and forth between she being confident in how she really is, and in the next moment she's really insecure about her weight and how she looks, and that whole back and forth, that was not for me. And as our characters meet the first time, Xanders treats her like a total dick. I don't have nicer words for it. He wants to show her that he is her boss, which he isn't. She works for the team, and he is part of the team, yes, but she is not paid by him, and he has no right to be like that with her. But with time we learn a little bit more about the backgrounds of our characters. We learn more about Xanders being a total family guy, not with his own family, but with the family of his best friend, Madison. Madison is the team captain of the Raptors. Xanders is the co-captain, and Xanders is super cute with Madison's family, with the 2 kids and the wife, and I really love that. And I also love that Stevie uses her free time to work in a dog shelter, because she really loves dogs, and in this shelter they have mostly senior dogs that can't find a home anymore. And throughout the story you can really feel the tension between the characters, the banter, and I really like that. But I don't like how often it is the topic that Stevie is super imperfect, that her body is not perfect, that she is a little bit overweight, that she don't wear tight jeans, that she likes to wear baggy clothes, that she always puts her hair in a bun. It is a bit too much of that, because you really feel that these imperfections are thrown in your face, so that it doesn't just feel imperfect, it feels neglected. And I don't think that's what Liz Tomforde wanted here. We also had a spicy scene at this point, and I really liked that, really well written, and I enjoyed reading it. And I enjoy that our main characters are getting closer now, that they start to talk, that they start to open up, that they start to be vulnerable with each other. And I can't wait to read more of that. Not the asshole moves, but the vulnerability and trusting each other. And we will see how this will go on, because Stevie also has to fear about losing her job when it comes out that there is something between her and Xander's, because her boss is a bitch. So I will continue reading now and will talk to you in a bit. And I finished Mile High. I'm given this book 3 stars. There were some parts that I really enjoyed. The one thing I really want to mention here is on the mental health aspect of the story. The fact that Xander goes to therapy for years and is really open about it, really learned how to deal with his feelings and to be really honest with himself. That doesn't make it easier to be himself out in the public because of his asshole image, and he really struggles with the fact that he is not being loved, and Stevie really struggles with her body image. And I really loved how Xander showed her that her body is sexy and right the way it is, that the faults she sees in her body are human. But on the other side, I was really pissed by some parts of the story and how the plot went, especially in the last 30% of the story. That really pissed me off because it was so dumb. We had a third act breakup. I expected that, but the reasons for it were super dumb in my opinion, and the breakup was totally unnecessary. I really wish we had a different plot line there so that the characters would have worked on their problems together, that we didn't have this big negative scandal, and that they were both really secure in their relationship to work on this together. But we haven't had this, and I didn't like that. I'm not the biggest fan of third act breakups, especially when there is no reason for it, like here. But I really enjoyed learning more about Xander's, learning more about the real him, seeing him in this very healthy relationship with Stevie, seeing him with his found family, with his best friend and their child, and seeing him with Rosie, the dog he adopted in the book. I really loved every single part of that, but as I said, so much plot points and parts of this didn't make sense to me, so that in the end I can only give it 3 stars. But now that I finished my high in March, I have now The Right Move, the story of Ryan and Indy on my April TBR, and will read this book next. Long time no see from my end, just a few seconds for you, but I started The Right Move, the second book in the Windy City series, and wanted to update you because I'm already halfway through the book and I'm liking it so far, not loving. I had my problems with the first 100 pages of this book, as in book 1 of the series. So I expected that a bit, that I need some time to get a connection to the characters, to learn more about them, and to get into the emotional part of their characters and why they do what they do. I'm enjoying the story now a bit more than in the beginning. And I should explain, this is the story of Indy, Stevie's best friend, and Ryan Shay, Stevie's twin brother. He's a super successful NBA player, one of the basketball players known everywhere. And in my high, Indy had a pretty bad breakup with her ex-boyfriend, or fiance at this point. She was together with him for 6 years and he cheated on her. And she found out he cheated on her, so she broke up with him. And she needed to move out and needed now a new home. And her new home is Ryan Shay's apartment. They get roommates, and the main topic for this book is fake dating. A topic that I'm not super excited about, but also not a topic that I despise. In this case, I didn't like how the topic was introduced. I think that was really plot heavy and not developed out of the story. Didn't make much sense to me that we got fake dating at this point and that Ryan introduced her as her girlfriend to stay captain of his NBA team. Doesn't make sense to me that the coach thinks a captain should have a boyfriend to be more emotional and get a connection with the other teammates. No, I don't get that point, but I really like the banter and the tension between Indy and Ryan. And after the first 100 pages, I said to my buddy read partner that I think Ryan has autism. Maybe not in a super strong form, but he really relies on his routines and gets upset pretty fast if someone messes with his routines, like washing his dishes right after he eats, like how he sorted his bookshelf and Indy messes with it and he is ready to kick her out of the apartment and scratch the whole roommate agreement. And also Ryan has a pretty hard time to connect with his teammates. He is super into basketball. This is the topic for him. He has no problem with training the whole day to focus on the game and give instruction to his teammates. But a personal connection to his teammates, no thank you. He doesn't know how to do it. And these are all signs for me that he could have autism. It is not a thing that is explained in the book. That is a theory by myself. I don't know if this maybe comes up in the second half of the story. I don't know. But what I can say, it is a lot of back and forth between Indy and Ryan. I'm not a big fan of that. They are lusting about each other in one moment. They say in the next moment that they can't be together, that they can't have a relationship, but they also don't want only a sexual relationship. They get to know more about each other throughout time and develop a friendship. So at the point I am now, we have some kind of friendship plus that I don't really understand because they both have feelings for each other. So please talk about it. Please be open about your feelings. And don't ruin every moment that you have with saying, oh yeah, that was fake. That was just for our fake relationship. I'm getting annoyed by it at this point. But I really like that we have also topics in this book that are pretty serious. like Indy's problem with fertility, and that she doesn't know if she is able to get children. She wants to get her eggs frozen because she has a condition where her eggs ages more than her body, and it is pretty complicated for her. So fingers crossed she can get pregnant at some point and maybe gets children with Ryan, because he also said at one point that he's the one in the family that wants to have children. So that could be an arrangement. We will see. And also at the point I am now, we have news about Stevie and Xanders and can congratulate them. I won't say more at this point, but I am really happy for them, and I will continue reading now. I finished The Right Move, and I can say it was an okay book for me, like book one. I don't understand the hype of the series at this point, but I have high hopes for Kyan Miller book 3, which is called Caught Up. But before we get to Caught Up, we can talk a little bit more about The Right Move. In the second half of the story there was a lot of unnecessary miscommunication, a lot of completely unnecessary drama. I don't think that we needed that, and that the characters are mature enough to talk about problems, to have open communication, and there was nothing about it. I liked the more heavy topics of the story, like for Indy getting pregnant, or for Ryan with his backstory, that he has massive problems to trust other persons after his girlfriend in college betrayed him like this. I understand that, but I wish that we had more focus on this theme, especially on the children's topic, because all we get in the end is an epilogue about this, and that was not the right move for me. That could have been better. And also I think a lot of the things they did for each other, especially Ryan for Indy, were too big, too much, and something they should have talked about before he did them. But all in all, I liked Ryan's character, I liked Indy's character, and they are a perfect mix. And Ryan is a super cute book boyfriend. But I fear a little bit that Liz Tomforde is not for me. We will see. I will definitely continue the series with Yasmin. And we will want to start the next book of the series next week. So we will switch from The Right Move to Caught Up. We switch sports. We had ice hockey in book 1, baseball in book 2, and now we get to baseball and a single dad. I really like this trope. I don't know anything else about this book and I will go in blind. So fingers crossed I will like this more, because we already met the character in book 2 and I really liked him. So we will see about that, and I will keep you updated. Welcome to Caught Up, the third book in the series. This is the story of Kai and Miller. Kai is a professional baseball player and a single dad. He didn't know he got a father until his hookup stood in front of his door. His son was 6 months old at this point, and he delivered the baby to him and said, "Here, this is for you, this is your son, I don't want to be a mother, good luck." And since then he is a father now, really struggled with the thought that he missed the first 6 months of his son, and he does everything to make his son happy. His son Max is now 15 months old and he is super cute, such a happy little baby. And Kai really struggles with being a dad and being a professional baseball player at the same time, because he wants to do both jobs 100% and more, and really gets exhausted with that and feels bad for Max every time he plays baseball, feels bad with being with Max, that he not plays baseball for his team, that he's not training, etc. He has a hard life with that and really needs to set boundaries. That's when he met Miller. Miller is the daughter of the team's coach, and in her first chapter she quits her job. She is a professional pastry chef and helps out restaurants to get Michelin stars, to improve their dessert card, etc. But she really struggles with being creative right now, so she quits her current job and decides to spend the summer with her dad. And the only chance to do this, to be on tour with him and the team, is to be the nanny of Max. And let me say, the first impression that Kai has of Miller is not positive, so he really struggles with the thought of her being the nanny of Max, especially because he knows she's only there for 2 months and Max adores her on first sight. And he doesn't want that Max has to lose another woman in his life. But things start to get flirty right away, and there is banter, there is tension. I wished we waited a little bit more with that, so that they can get to know each other before that. But this flirting and tension right away is a theme of this series, and I have to live with that. So far I'm 150 pages into the story, and this is the book I like the most so far. Not love, but like the most of the series. I really like the dialogues between Kai and Milla. I like the banter, and I especially like the deep talk between the two of them. So we will see how this goes. We had the first kiss at this point, but after that we had also Milla specify that she is only there for 2 months and then she will continue with her job and will travel again. So it is a lot of back and forth between the two, and we will see how this continues. Update time. I'm now 300 pages into Korda, and I can say the last 150 pages that I read since yesterday, I really like. I like Kai, I like Miller, I like the banter and tension between them. I really like the spice. The scenes are so well written. The spice is really spicing in this one. And I like the whole family dynamic, even if it's not family. I like the whole cast of side characters like Isaiah, the main character of book 4. I like Monty, Miller's dad, and how super relaxed he is with Miller and the relationship between Kai and Miller, or non-existent relationship. I love the whole flirting between Kai and Miller, and that they both set their boundaries if it's necessary. And I don't have to say much to the last 150 pages that I've read, except that I really like them, and that this is my favorite book of the series so far, and the book that I have the least criticism about. We will see if this holds up. I still have around 170 pages left of the book, and because I enjoy it so much at the moment, I will right away continue. I'm done, and I can say that this is my favorite book of the series so far. I liked it, not love, but I really love Kai. He is my favorite male main character of the series. So far we will see if Isaiah or Rio can win against Kai. But all in all, I was pretty annoyed by the third act breakup. That is a theme for this series, that we have a third act breakup, and in this book it was totally unnecessary. They should have talked a bit about this problem. She should have talked to her dad. She should have talked to Kai. A little bit of open communication would have helped so much, and would have been the solution for everything. So we didn't need the third act breakup. We didn't need Miller to leave Kai and the city to get back to her old job, because she knows at this point that this job doesn't make her happy, and she's just doing the job to make her dad proud and to be the best. But one chat with her dad would have told her that he is proud of her whatever she's doing, and that all he wants is for her to be happy. So the drama was unnecessary, and the happy end afterwards was a tiny bit too much. But that's almost always the case for me if we have a super happy end epilogue with marriage and children and everything you need to be happy. I don't know, that's always a bit too much for me. I don't need that. I just need for them to be together in the end and to be happy. I don't need the big wedding. I don't need children 2 years afterwards. But that's it for now, and I was surprised by the teaser for book 4, because I haven't read the synopsis on book 4, which is Play Along, the story of Isaiah and Kennedy. And in Caught Up we learn that they had a trip to Las Vegas and that they married each other. And I can't wait to read more about that and to talk to you about it. Book 4, Play Along, the story of Kennedy and Isaiah, and I'm now halfway through the book and can say that this is probably the book that I like the most from the series so far, together with book 3, which is about Isaiah's brother. I really like the start of the story here. We also got a glimpse of that in book 3, and we are starting way before that with the prologue, with the moment Isaiah and Kennedy met each other the first time, and where he already knows this is the woman I want to marry one day. But sadly Kennedy is engaged to another man, and he patiently waits for his time, and now it is his time. She broke up with her fiancé. Her ex-fiancé is now together with her stepsister. The whole family is totally fucked up, because this whole marriage is just a business arrangement. and she haven't had a choice with this marriage, but now she has the choice. And she meets Isaiah in Las Vegas. They are both there to celebrate, to party, and they both get drunk and get married, which feels perfect for him, but she is not that amused about it. But she needs to play along with this marriage to not lose her job, and maybe this whole fake marriage is her choice to learn more about emotional connections and physical connections, because this is a point she's totally lacking. She wants to be touched, but she doesn't know how, because she doesn't know to be touched. And it feels uncomfortable for her when someone does it without her awaiting it. And she really wants to work on that, and Isaiah is her perfect opportunity to learn, to get along with this fake marriage and to get touched, to make out, things like that. But I'm also annoyed by this premise of the story, because we know from the beginning that Isaiah had real strong feelings for her, and for him this is all completely serious. And she's just there to say, yeah, let's learn, let's work on this. So when I move to Seattle for another job, I can get another man. And we get constant reminders of that throughout the book. As I said, I'm halfway through the story now, and I'm really annoyed by these constant reminders. But except of that, I really love the book so far. There is so much tension and banter between the characters that I really enjoy. It is super entertaining to see these two together. And I really am in love with Isaiah. He's such a sweet character. And I really wish for him to get his happy end with Kennedy, because all the other books had a third act breakup. So we are working now towards that. And I will talk to you next after I finished the book. I finished Play Along, and I'm a little bit torn about it, because I really love the romance. I loved Isaiah, but I was annoyed by Kennedy. I'm so sorry. The whole thing that this is all a game and that Isaiah is not a real option annoyed me so much. I think I already told you this in my update for the first half of the book, and I really hoped it would get better in part 2, but no. She needed such a long time to finally realize that she has feelings for Isaiah, and that maybe the future plan she chose is not the right one. And for me personally, this whole book is a real forced plot with the path Kennedy chooses for her career, because the only thing she had to do to solve the problem she has is to speak with the management of her club so that her boss gets fired, because he's a real asshole who bullies her and doesn't like women in general, especially when Reese took her place as new boss of the team, or former boss until the next season. She should have spoken up, and that would have solved every single one of her problems, but she doesn't do it. And I don't understand why. It makes no sense for me at all. And what she's doing in the second half is super unfair to Isaiah. She knows he has real feelings for her. He literally said that, and nonetheless she's playing with him because for her he's not a real option. And I don't think that is very nice of her. So that's why I'm torn about the book. But all in all, this one, so Play Along and the book before, The Right Move, are my favorites of the series. I really like these brothers. Kai and Isaiah are my favorites. They are such cute book boyfriends and I really fell in love with them. And now I can't wait to read Rewind It Back, Rio's story. But I have to wait a little bit for that, so I won't read book 5 in July as planned, because this whole series was a buddy read with a friend so far. And if I would read Rewind It Back in July, I need to read it on my own because the German version is not out yet and the official publishing date was October, but they changed it to November, which is super exciting, and I promised my friend now that I will wait to read book 5 until August so we can read it together. So it changes nothing for you, but we have now June 11th, and I think the new official publishing date is August 18th, or was it August 28th? I'm not sure, but I have to wait 2 months now to continue, and that means I will talk to you in August. And here we are now with the final book of the Windy City series by Liz Tomforde, Rewind It Back, the story of Rio and Hallie. It is a second chance romance, and I'm now 45% into the book, which is a good point to update you because I'm loving everything about it so far. And this book has so good chances to be my favorite of this whole series because so far everything is perfect. We had a good way to introduce the forced proximity between the characters. There are already so much feelings involved because they were together as teenagers and broke up 6 years ago now. They haven't talked since then, and we as a reader don't know the real reason why they broke up because both make a secret out of it. But they are both angry about it. They both have still feelings. I can't wait to find out the real reason behind the breakup. And fingers crossed that it is nothing stupid, that I will not roll my eyes about it. Because so far I really love both characters. They are both so cute, so lovable. She is a strong female character. She speaks up for herself. And he is the lovable Rio we already know from the first books of the series. So he really has the golden retriever puppy vibes and is such a green flag. I love everything about that. And I also love that so far there is a lot of open communication between Hallie and Rio. Of course, we have little scenes of miscommunication, which is completely okay because that is realistic. I can understand every single thought so far, every single act, and I'm really fangirling for these two characters, especially in the last chapter that I've read, which was chapter 17. I squealed a little bit while reading and gave applause to that. I won't spoil you, don't worry, but I reacted like that. So this made me really happy. I don't have these emotions with every single romance that I read. So it is quite exciting to feel like that while reading. And now I can't wait to continue the book, to inhale the rest of it. But I will probably don't inhale this because it is a buddy read, and I will wait for my buddy read partner so we can read it together. But so far, we are both super excited about it, loving the story, and fingers crossed that it will stay like that. I have finished now, rewinded back, and I can say I love, love, love Rio and Helly. This is definitely my favorite book of the whole series. And for this romance, I have no critiques because everything was perfect for me. The characters itself, the character development, the communication between the characters, the problem solving, I loved all of that. I think it was very realistic. We had no big point of miscommunication like in the other books. So I'm very, very happy with Rio and Helly. I liked that the families of both of them were included because they know each other since their childhood, and their first breakup was because of their families, so it was necessary to include them to tell their stories. And I think Liz Tomforde made that very, very good. And I'm a little bit sad now that the series is over now. But I think I know about which persons the next big series is by Liz Tomforde. And I think it got teased in Rewinded Back because Liz Tomforde already showed that the next series is set in a small town and that it is also sports romance. So I think it is about the family of Rio's neighbor because Ren was already introduced now in Rio's story, and we get told that she has brothers and all of her brothers play sports and they live in a small town near San Francisco where Ren is now moving to because she wants to reunite with her family after she finished university now. So I got the hints and I can't wait to read this series. But before that, we get another story, and I haven't heard of that before I got to the end of Rewinded Back, where the story was introduced. But I'm so happy about it that we get this in March of 2026, I think. I can't remember the names at the moment, but it is a spin off story from the Windy City series about the coach of Kai's team and the new team manager. And I've already shipped both of them together in Kai's stories and in Isaiah's story. So I can't wait to read that. But for now, I finished now the whole Windy City series by Liz Tomforde. 5 books in total. Book 1 and 2 were okay for me. I liked book 3 and 4 way better. And I loved book 5. So I'm really glad that I've read the series. And please tell me in the comments if you have also read this series and which one of the books is your favorite. Like this video if you wanna, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!